Hey, everybody. So the title of this short video is A Very Mexican Hypothesis. And to be clear, what we mean by hypothesis is some idea, some proposal, some plan, proposed plan for how we accomplish our most urgent goals, objectives, which include ending hunger and malnutrition, ending cruelty to animals, and the destruction of the biosphere brought by animal agriculture. And a third is cooling the planet. And a fourth, which undergirds all three of these, is collective human superintelligence, or CHIZY. I'm in Mexico City right now, so pardon the helicopters. And I'm, rather than screen share a bunch of little things, I'm just going to get right to the heart of it and simply point to some other videos, which I'll include in the description below, that you can click on if you want to say, hey, watch that video that he just mentioned, right? So the bottom line is that for the community cafe, and here you see an image of it on the screen, the original community cafe. We later did a second iteration of the same concept, but with a bunch of enhancements and improvements, and we called that Food Healers. What I'm proposing for the next iteration of the community cafe, which really becomes sort of the community center around which all these objectives will be realized. And instead of calling it a community cafe, the very Mexican hypothesis is that we call it literally Bienvenidos Café Comunitario, which means welcome community cafe. Really simple. And it's very important that we bring art, humor, controversy, and all kinds of other delicious things to the table, some of which I won't even mention for obvious reasons. But the more richness, the more salsa that we can throw on top of the taco, the more hot sauce we can dump on this taco, the better. Okay. As I talk about in other videos, we have unspeakable urgency. And so we need to blast into people's minds. This can't be some little thing that you kind of worm in a little bit more over time. No, it's got to blast in. It's got to be just absolutely explosive. That's why I say the controversial part. And the very Mexican hypothesis goes like this. Along with the Mexican name, we literally give it Mexican identity. Now, the following is a true fact. A bunch of my friends call me El Mexicano, and it's hilarious for obvious reasons. From another angle, I'm as blue-blooded as you can get. I'm a direct descendant of William Whipple, one of the signatories of the Declaration of Independence, friends with George Washington, et cetera. And, I come from a military family, and yada, 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 yada. So you can see me as blue as they come if you wanted to, or as red, white, and green, because I'm also quarter Spanish. My great-grandfather was Diego Pellicer. Look at the videos. And he was the largest grower of hemp in the world in the Victorian era, based out of the Philippines. And so I am Hispanic, and I was born in Mexico, right? And now there are longer stories for that, and I'm going to point to a video called The Longer Story, and that's important stuff. But I take, and I'll be singing Spanish love songs, beautiful Spanish love songs. I'll give you an example in a minute. But the essence of it is that we come with this very Mexican identity. The stew our first batches of stew can be Mexican inspired, plant-based stews. And, I speak fluent Mexican, not just fluent Spanish, fluent Mexican, with all the slang and everything else. And we present this as a very Mexican thing. In Mexico, we feed the whole community, right? When we cook for everyone. And one of the interesting things is that we're going to be serving a lot of underserved neighborhoods, and a lot of those turn out to be predominantly Black areas, suburbs of Baltimore, where there's a lot of poverty, unemployment, crime, drug use. I mean, you name it, right? It's there. And malnutrition is right there, hunger and malnutrition. And so we come in to solve all that. It's way better that we go. It's way better that we go into those neighborhoods, sorry, as something other than, predominantly white. And let's face it, from Montgomery County, a lot of the kids are going to be white, the volunteers. And so it's really cool that we take on a different identity than that. And, you don't get much more different from white than Mexican or Black, right? Or, myriad other, non-white. And so it's really a way in. It's a way to be very controversial. And it's a way to say, listen, we're bringing the Mexican style of feeding to this country because it needs it. Nobody in Mexico goes hungry, and actually very few go really malnourished, severely malnourished, like we have people in the United States, because corn and beans are the staples, and those are just nutritious, and they make a great combination. But anyway, I'm getting into details. The bottom line is that we tell a story that's maybe not 100% accurate, but it makes for a great story, which is that in Mexico, nobody goes hungry, and we take care of our own, and we're bringing that here to the United States. Who's doing that? El Mexicano, right? And I sing just beautiful Spanish love songs. And so we, in fact, let me play one of these for you. I got to take a call real quick. I'm pausing. Okay, so this first snippet is from a Mexican singer, Maricela, from the 80s. And it's called Sin Él, Without Him. Sin él se ha acabado el camino y ahora no sé a dónde ir. Y ya presiento que la tristeza se acerca y me empieza a seguir. Hoy sé que mi vida no era tan mía, también era de él. Y mi orgullo se empieza a caer y de nuevo se empieza a encender esta llama que quise apagar y que nunca podré. No quiero, no quiero esta vida, no sé qué hacer. Sin él no la puedo entender. Hoy sé que lo amo, pero se fue. Lo dejé partir y hoy no sé vivir sin él. No quiero esta vida, no sé qué hacer. Sin él no la puedo entender. Hoy sé que lo amo, pero se fue. Lo dejé partir y hoy no sé vivir sin él. Anyway, you get the idea. That's from Chanel. Now, another one that I love is from Venezuela. Let me find it real quick. And the next one is from this Venezuelan Guillermo Davila, and it means I only think of you. Now, for those of us who have Hispanic heritage, we're Hispanic first, And then what country, that's secondary, right? Because so there's a common Hispanic world. So anyway, he's from Venezuela, but it's still very, very in line with. Well, look, I mean, bienvenidos, café comunitario. That can be multinationality. In fact, that's the idea. We happen to use the Spanish language. We happen to talk about importing our food systems from Mexico and all kinds of other controversial stuff. And I self-identify as El Mexicano. I mean, I was born in Mexico, so by and again, we go into this deeper because I'm also American. Anyway, I'm a mix, as most of us are, and I choose to express myself this way, blah blah blah. But it's very controversial. But why are you saying this and why are you saying that? Well, let's talk about it. I'm blasting open the conversation. Anyway, solo pienso en ti means I only think of you, and it's sung by the singer is an artist who's painting this beautiful woman in the story. And he's not getting very much painting done because he's just obsessively thinking about her. So here we go. Solo pienso en ti. I only think of you. Ponga fin arte. Sorry, solo con. Let me start that again. Sorry about that. Me pongo a pintarte y no lo consigo. Después de estudiarte lentamente termino pensando que faltan sobre mi paleta colores intensos que reflejen tu rara belleza. No puedo captar tu sonrisa, plasmar tu mirada, porque poco a poco solo pienso en ti, solo pienso en ti, solo pienso en ti, solo pienso en ti. I just wanted to give you a taste, and thank you for listening to both of those. I'll probably end up singing more to you. But anyway, where do we go with all this? What's this whole Mexican business? Well, where was I born? Mexico. What part? California. Oh, Baja California. No, California. Now, true story. My wallet was pickpocketed, stolen a couple days ago. And I chased after the guy, and bottom line, we caught the perpetrators. And but let's suppose that the chase had gone longer than it did. Here's a question for you. After how many blocks of chase does the wallet stop being mine and start being the thieves? Well, there is no number of blocks, and in parallel, there is no number of years after the theft of half of the territory of Mexico that it ever became anything other than Mexican territory. So now, why do I bring all that? Oh, this guy is a traitor. What makes me a traitor? I'm just saying, hey, are we a republic or are we an empire? See, these are all very important, relevant questions because we're getting ourselves into a whole bunch of military conflicts all over the world. And, some very sober analysis reveals that we've been behaving as if we were an empire. So a nation who behaves like an empire, what's the difference between behaving like an empire and being an empire? All this is, of course, very controversial. And so between the thesis that it's American territory and the antithesis that it's Mexican, the synthesis is Turtle Island. Like, hey, there's something much more important than where we draw national borders. And that's that we recognize that we're all one. We need to embrace CHISI, collective human superintelligence. We need to save and heal life on Earth, including cooling the planet, feeding everyone, going plant-based, et cetera, et cetera. A very Mexican hypothesis, this one, which is not mine. It's a bunch of us collaborating on this, but it's one way to blast in with that checks all the check boxes. I kind of wish I had a list of check boxes from this video, and maybe I'll make one. But it checks off all the check boxes that we've been talking about, including getting into certain communities in the DC area that need us the most, and they need a way to feel good about what's coming at them, right? Because it's going to be huge, and we're going to cover all DC, all neighborhoods of all classes, races, ethnicities, you name it. If you're in the DC area, we're coming for you, and we're coming to feed you and bring you music and humor and controversy and all kinds of good stuff. So with that, I'll leave it at that, and in the fuller story, I'll go deeper. Thanks, everyone.